Welcome to Gamepinions episode 47. I'm your host, Calman, and today we are back again for another episode of Gamepinions. For those of you that don't know, Gamepinions is a podcast where we talk selectively about video games, gaming news, and our gaming experiences, both new and old. Every Thursday, a new podcast episode spawns out of your favorite podcasting portal, youtube.com, and now the brand new Gamepinions.com. This past weekend, we switched over to the .com from our .net, which was something that we acquired back in February, and it just recently became accessible to us. Really was just trying to pick the right time to transfer, and this past weekend I was like, hey, it's time to rock and roll and do this. So we've been trying to get the .com for probably about 2 years now, and after we acquired it was really exciting. The price was a little bit high, but we have it under our belts now. And it's ours, so I'm really excited about that. It's a, fairly big accomplishment for us, I guess. And I'm really excited about, the future of Gamepinions.com. So it'll be the home of our podcast. In this episode today, we're going to be talking about the PlayStation 5 event, which was rescheduled to today, as this podcast uploads on Thursday. And it's going to, be today, June 11th. Really excited about that, and we're also going to talk about a rumor surrounding Atlas at the PC Gaming Show 2020. Exciting stuff. We're talking about some not-so-great stuff in terms of Nintendo. They had a little bit of an issue that resurfaced this past week, just kind of giving them some issues. Then we're going to cover the Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Just want to give you guys my opinion of the game. And it's not going to be like an in-depth review. It's just going to be me talking about the game, really similar to what I used to do with Death Stranding. So really excited about that. So let's get into the PlayStation 5 event. It was rescheduled, obviously, due to, not so great circumstances. Obviously, the United States currently is undergoing, a lot of hurt. The Black community especially. So I think that it's very good that PlayStation did delay this event. I'm not sure if they had much of a choice, but at the end of the day, I think that these companies doing this did a good job at kind of taking a step back and kind of, telling us like, hey, there's a lot more important things going on right now. Let's just, let's hold this off for a little while. And it was just a week, but I still think it was a really good gesture. Outside of that, I'm really excited about this event. I said that the way PlayStation and Microsoft have been, Sony and Microsoft have been revealing these next-gen consoles, I thought it was really boring up to this point. That being said, I'm still really hyped about seeing the PlayStation 5 in the flesh and, seeing the different features, the price point, a lot of different things we're going to get to talk about. And we're going to have an extra episode of Gamepinions this week. It's going to go up on Friday morning, fingers crossed. And we're going to be talking about our takeaways and all that. So now this next piece of news is going to be Atlas at the PC Gaming Show 2020. It is apparently a rumor, and this was kind of going around on Twitter yesterday, and Gematsu.com is actually reporting that Persona 4 Golden is basically all but confirmed for the PC. It's going to be heading to Steam. So the PlayStation Vita, I guess, port or remaster of Persona 4, which is Persona 4 Golden, is looking like it's going to be going on PC. So pretty cool. Apparently there's a rumor that Persona 3 is also going to be heading there. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. But apparently they were able to find inside of I think Steam files or something like that, a Persona 4 banner and a Persona 4 profile type picture, the box art or whatever. So it seems like it's indicating, they said they had multiple sources, so it seems like that is probably going to be a thing. So now we have Nintendo's little issue that popped up. Back in April, Nintendo reported that 160,000 Nintendo accounts were accessed illegally. And yesterday, which was Tuesday, so we'll just say this week, it came out that Nintendo actually has an additional 140,000 Nintendo accounts that were accessed illegally. This is the statement that Nintendo put out. Pull it up right here. Less than 1% of Nintendo network IDs around the world that may have been illegally logged in may have actually been fraudulently traded through their Nintendo account. We are still in the process of refunding in each country, but we have already finished refunding most customers. We apologize for any inconvenience caused and concern to our customers and related parties. In the future, we will strive to further strengthen security and ensure safety so that similar events do not occur. And this is really sad. It's really sad to see Nintendo's, network kind of get breached. We've seen pretty much every other console manufacturers kind of go through this issue. This is probably the most connected that Nintendo has had on their network, considering that the Wii U really wasn't that big. I read that it's possible that it looks like the only issues that were being accessed were from people that transferred their accounts over from their Wii U or used the same sign-in from their Wii U or the 3DS. And I heard that you actually can't do that anymore. So it's a little bit bad, but it's like over 300,000 accounts now that have been compromised. And I believe that, debit cards and PayPal accounts were, able to be accessed. So a little bit scary. Obviously, I don't think I've had that issue. I buy so many things anyway, though. So I just, I buy things that I shouldn't buy. So chances are it's showing up on my bank account and I just don't know. But yeah, it's not the best news. So hopefully Nintendo gets that under control. This unfortunately is just part of, having your stuff online. It's a risk that, is always going to be prevalent. And hopefully Nintendo steps up their security and gets this thing fixed and doesn't have this issue anymore. So now we're going to talk about the Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I got that game, I believe, on launch, actually. And I originally bought this game on the 3DS, the new 3DS XL, actually, which was an exclusive to that platform. It was a port of the Wii version, obviously. I never played the Wii version when it came out. It was one of those games that was finally localized after, some petitions and all kinds of stuff were put through social media, which eventually led to the game's release, along with, Pandora's Tower and The Last Story. So Xenoblade, though, is really an awesome RPG. It's a JRPG. The same combat as like an MMO, or I say KOTOR. It's kind of a similar combat style to that. The story is really good. Shulk looks awesome in the game with the updated visuals. It looks very similar to his Smash Brothers counterpart. In the first game, they they were kind of designed a little weird. There was something I kind of liked about it, though. But they obviously look a lot more cleaner now in the remastered edition. For those of you that are worried about like the game resolution, in handheld mode, it looks very similar to how it did like in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, if you guys played that. It kind of has that adaptive resolution that looks okay in some areas, and then other areas doesn't look great, a little bit blurry. But I will say, side by side compared to the 3DS version, it looks really amazing. So at least you have that. In docked mode, it looks really good. It definitely takes on a much more clearer and more high res look to it, which is really nice. So I really did like that quite a bit, playing it in the docked mode. But I never finished the one on the 3DS. I got sidetracked with other things. So when I saw that this game was releasing on the Switch, I was really excited about it because this is a really good game. The story actually is really good. And I'm going to play it all the way through this time. And I'm really excited to play it. The story grips you. The gameplay is a little bit repetitive, but I mean, it has really nice like twist to it. For those of you that don't know, the Monado has a lot of really good gameplay mechanics, and this might be kind of a spoiler. So if you guys haven't played, Xenoblade or whatever, don't listen to this portion, I guess. So it's going to start now. The Monado in the game, the sword, Shulk's red sword, has the ability to predict the future, and it basically makes like the combat, very like adaptive in terms of, you have to adapt to the situations, but you're also able to predict what will happen in the future, which kind of impacts what you do. Say, your partner, Ryan, is about to die. You can either defend him, but if you think you can destroy the enemy, you can do like an attack. So you can either put him in a shield or you can do a strong attack and then wipe the enemy out. That future never comes to fruition. It's really cool. Like, it's actually a really cool gameplay mechanic, and as you kind of get further, it becomes more intricate and a little bit more difficult. And it's, kind of turns into like a real-time strategy in that sense. Obviously not like a RTS, but it's like kind of, you have to kind of strategize on the fly based on the information that you're fed. So it's really neat. It's a really neat game. I think the characters are really good. I think Shulk is a really good main character. The voice acting is pretty good. I think I probably would prefer Japanese voice acting, but the voice acting is really good. And, the enemies are interesting. The game itself is very pretty. Like, I would have preferred a complete remaster of the game where this is kind of like more or less a touch up, or even just like a complete like remake of the game. I think probably would have done it a lot more justice, but you kind of get to the point where it's like with Nintendo, you kind of just have to accept that the resolution and stuff is going to be wonky and that it's not going to remotely look like, these other platforms in terms of like its resolution and all that. The game doesn't feel like you're going back in time, really. It still kind of feels like it's a little bit dated in its looks, but it's still a really pretty game. Like Xenoblade, even on the Wii during that time, was still a really pretty game. Like, you have some really awesome, like, landscapes and different parts of the game where it's like, it feels like, you can really feel the scale, I guess, of the world, and it's a massive world. And they made some gameplay improvements too. One of my problems with the 3DS version was that you'd get like side missions and stuff, and you'd go to select the side mission, but it wouldn't really tell you where you needed to go, which was kind of difficult for a lot of the side missions because it's like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to guess. Where in this one, it actually gives you like a path where you need to follow. And it's more traditional to like, the modern RPGs that we know, like Skyrim, where it kind of gives you a waypoint almost. So that's actually been really helpful. And I've really liked that quite a bit. A really welcome change for those side missions. And, I feel like everything's a lot more clear as to what things do. And maybe that's just because of like the bigger screen. I don't really remember messing around too much in the menu system on the 3DS, but it's definitely a big improvement, I think, on the Switch. So I'll probably update, here and there what I'm playing, and I'll probably talk about Xenoblade a little bit more. But I just wanted to basically say that if you're on the fence about Xenoblade and you're not really sure if you're going to like it or not, I definitely think it's worth the purchase. Especially if you like Shulk and like Smash Bros. And you've never played the Xenoblade games. I definitely recommend it. And if you didn't like Xenoblade 2, I think Xenoblade, the original, is a lot better. Like, this is a lot better game than Xenoblade 2. I think the story's a lot better. It doesn't use, these typical anime tropes where, you have a really disproportionate female as like your sword or your weapon, which some people like that, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not really a super huge fan of that. This one just feels like the characters are a lot more unique and they have a lot more personality, and you can kind of connect with these characters a little bit more and what they're going through a little bit more. So definitely try this game out, and don't base Xenoblade off of Xenoblade 2, because it's not really an accurate representation of what to expect from the original Xenoblade. But I think in terms of it being like a remaster or definitive edition, I would have liked to have seen it become a little bit more touched up, but I still find it as like a really good looking game and really fun and definitely worth the amount of hours. Especially there's bonus content, which can add up to like 10 to 15 hours, which apparently takes place after the game, which is really, really exciting. So I'm really excited to get to that part too. And so definitely recommend Xenoblade Chronicles if you've never played it. And even if you have, I mean, it might be worth revisiting and just seeing the updated visuals for yourself, because if you compare this to the 3DS or Wii version, it does look considerably better. So, I definitely don't want to come out and, complain about the visuals too much, because it does actually look really good. And it's a really pretty game, very stylistic. The art style looks really nice. And the combat's fun. I like the combat. So until later today, or I guess tomorrow morning, I hope you guys enjoyed our podcast episode today. Very short. We're going to be starting to get back into reading some tweets and doing all that other fun stuff that we used to do in our older episodes. We're going to get closer to that. Definitely expect that. And we have some other cool topics similar to our Justin TV topic that we talked about last week, which I think are going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you guys enjoy that PlayStation 5 event and hope you guys are pumped up about it because I definitely am. And be nice to each other. Keep on keeping on. And we will catch you in our PlayStation 5 takeaway video and podcast. So, see you guys later.